This video is brought to you by the No Fear community.
Mårten Mickos is the CEO of Eucalyptus Systems and one of the contributors to No Fear. Welcome. Mårten, what can you tell about yourself and what is Eucalyptus Systems? What does it do?
Eucalyptus Systems is a software company. We're the leading private cloud software platform, so very much a pioneer of the new paradigm shifting from the old IT infrastructure into cloud. We're deep in the infrastructure, so our buyers are typically IT experts themselves. So people who don't deal with software and data centers may not know about us, but those who do, they certainly do. So that's what I do now. Before that, for 8 years, I was the CEO of MySQL, which was a Scandinavian startup that then ultimately was sold to Sun Microsystems for $1 billion. And before that, I did 6 different startups or new ventures in Finland, my native Finland.
Working in startups and companies like you have worked for, you have been very extensively involved with working with Digital Cowboys. How has that changed you as a leader?
It has really been a fundamental change. So when I think about my own leadership, I go back to when I was 12 and I became a Boy Scout and a troop leader. And that's really where I got the fundamentals of my leadership style. But the Boy Scouts is a different group. It's a very team-oriented, adventurous group, a very good foundation. The next step was doing my military service, where it's all about command and control. And then I got into the high-tech world, where suddenly those you work with it's completely voluntary. They will leave you and abandon you in a moment if they are not inspired by it. The difference between a motivated and unmotivated employee is huge. So it's again a completely new world, and I love it.
What have you done at Eucalyptus to attract talented digital cowboys and keep them?
So I must say that the reason people are attracted to Eucalyptus is the founding team, which is not me. So there were 6 guys on the doctoral program at UC Santa Barbara. They built the most fantastic software. That is the main attractor. Excellent software attracts excellent people. Additionally, we are very focused on building a strong company culture, being open, transparent, global, being very active, being pioneers in the industry, and we hope that as well will attract the right sort of salespeople, marketing people, and service people that we are hiring now.
One of the themes in No Fear is that digital cowboys are flattening hierarchies in corporation, all kinds of organizations. How is that changing leadership?
It's true that hierarchies are flattening, but it's also true that they aren't. Meaning, to orchestrate a big group of people, whether they are employed by you or not, you must employ some sort of a structure and hierarchy. But with the digital cowboys, the people who now live online, it's a different way of motivating each one of them and making sure they are listened to and heard and respected. So you need to be very active on that side. But you also can't give up the formal organization of a group, because to retain the ability to make decisions fast and act very decisively, you need to have a structure in your organization.
What is the main thing companies are doing wrong with Digital Cowboys? What needs to change?
Well, the biggest thing is that people don't like to change. It's a very small minority of the world population who is embracing change and making the most of it. And they are, of course, the winners of tomorrow. But most people would like to stick to what they already learned, and that's the main thing. We need to realize that our brains can learn new things every day, and we need to learn new things every day. So just the resistance to change is the major obstacle.
In the book, you describe vision and corporate culture as the main things a leader deals with. But how do you implement a culture? How does it work in practice?
So I'm a big fan of Peter Drucker's, and he said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And I think it's absolutely true. I love strategy, and that's one of the things I know very well, but I know that even more important is culture. And culture to me is the way we do things. So as a leader of a company or a group, I spend a lot of my time discussing the ways we do things. How do we treat people? How do we communicate? How do we say things? How do we deal with adversity? How do we deal with conflict situations? How do we resolve conflict? How do we step on each other's toes a little bit but not too much? And it's important to do those things, but also openly discuss them, because then you encourage everybody in the organization to contribute to the formation of the culture. And company culture is something that happens. You can't dictate it. I can have a vision of what I would like the culture to be like, but it will come true only if everybody or most people agree with me.
You have worked extensively in Finland and in the Silicon Valley, so you know a lot about national cultures as well. Digital Cowboys are, by their very nature, a global generation. Does that mean that national differences don't matter anymore? Is leadership in the Silicon Valley, in Finland, in Russia?
It's a very interesting question. It's a confusing situation because many people will say they are global, and I will say I'm global. In reality, we all have our roots. We all have our background, and it displays in the way we do things. So I don't think I can ever wash away my Finnishness. I will always have those characteristics. But then at the same time, there are more similarities between cultures than there are differences. So we love to have the stereotypical idea of, you know, the orderly Germans and the serious Finns and the optimistic Americans. And it's true, but it's even more true that in any such population, you find the whole set of characteristics. The serious guys, the fun guys, the active guys, the passive guys, all of those. So no matter where you are, even if you are on a small island with just 50 people, I'm sure you will, it's more important to understand their individual differences than to label them one way or the other.
Physical presence matters even less these days because of technology. People can work from home, they work, they travel, they do their work in cafes and so on. How do you lead an organization like that?
I think when you have a distributed organization where you operate through electronic means, you're online, you are on email, you are on phones, you must go all in. You mustn't take just your professional life online. You must take your whole body and soul. You must be there with all your benefits and strengths and weaknesses and everything. And you must expose yourself. Because when I manage the team we now have at Eucalyptus, some of the people sit in the same room or same office as I do, some are as far away as in China. So by taking my own thoughts and my thinking completely online, those in China are as close to me as those in the next door room. And you must have that readiness to be completely online. Like in a previous company I led, there was a team that did virtual Christmas parties. So they would give virtual Christmas gifts to each other over IRC, and they would drink virtual eggnogs together. And it really worked. People laugh at it and say it's silly, but it isn't. 100 years from now we'll look back and say, you know, of course, this is the way to do it. You don't need to always be in the same room. Sure, we need the physical contact because human beings have many ways of conveying emotions and other things, you know, in a physical sense through composure and smells and all kind of body language, all kinds of things. So we need that, but there's no limit to how much you can do online, and that's what you need to do.
Digital Cowboys are changing leadership right now, but what will be the next big change, and how can you prepare for it?
It's very difficult to predict what the next big change is, but I'm a believer that all new things already exist. They just haven't been exposed to everybody yet. So if you go to the most advanced locations of the world, and Silicon Valley certainly counts as one, but I would say that Finland counts as one, and the Scandinavian countries. What we are doing here will be done globally in the next 50 years. So you don't need to dream up some yet new change. You should just look at what the trend leaders are doing today and realize that this will expand to cover everybody in a given society or a given corporation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Antti.
This video is brought to you by the No Fear community.